I was just about to do my explanation of this blueberry inflation story, and the fucking lithium ion battery had to go out as I was just starting. Now, hopefully, I'm hoping that my recording of the previous one still went through. Okay, it did. Okay, good. Thank God I do it in MKV. So, oh my God. That would be horrible if I did that. But this is why I do streaming and recording at the same time. So this way, if I lose something on my stream, or if it just gets cut off, at least I have it recorded. That's all I care. Oh my gosh. Well, time to do the intro again. So, let me get my freaking things up. Get my charger plugged in. And then I will explain again how this all works. So there we go. Oh, that's why I need a different image. That makes sense. Wait, what's this image one? Oh, perfect. That's how it should be. What? Wait, we're live? Wait, what do you mean we're live? I'm still working on something, and I have to make sure I get the preparations for this live stream, so this way that I'm... Oh. This is what the director meant. Hello, everyone. Hi. Apparently, we're doing a redo of a redo because halfway through my stream, the sine wave battery just went out. Just completely ran out of electricity. And I had to plug into the grid. What the freak? But, yeah. My director earlier, once the stream went out, just complained that, we lost power. And the entire electrical stuff down in his basement just completely went out. Now it should be up, but before that, oh man. It was just nuts. So... nothing like a ham, turkey, salami, and cheese sandwich on white Italian bread with some mayonnaise in there. Not a whole lot, just enough for it to give it that nice taste. But I digress. There we go. So hello everyone. Welcome to my SuperFlashDriver's short story... not short story. Hello everyone. Welcome back to another live stream of SuperFlashDriver's story writing late night stream. I'm your host, SuperFlashDriver, also known as Matthew John Marinelli, and multitude of other nicknames I go by, from Madman and Ketchup Man to Rollercoaster Dragon Maker Monster Lover. And today, I decided to kind of do a redo because the last stream that I did, which was the day before the previous stream that was overridden, which I don't know why I'm doing this in 2 parts, but here we are. So, for those who don't know, I actually did some live streams earlier this year, which I did the YouTube 20th anniversary, as well as the 20th anniversary of the World Wide Web. Now, if you want a little bit more explanation of how I got into the World Wide Web, as well as the Saw franchise and many more, you're pretty much just going to have to wait for another video, as I finished recording of the Saw 2 introduction video for it, but I've yet to post it along with the capturing for Saw 2 movie at some point, hopefully Monday, and then be able to upload it sometime on Tuesday. That's yet to be seen. But regardless, the reason why I'm doing this is just so that you guys, from now until hopefully 5 in the morning, I'll be able to kind of record and do this live stream while working on my story projects that you will see a little bit later. So for those who don't know, I actually am one of the people that did Willy Wonka and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory videos in reverse, both 1971 and 2005. And to keep it nice and short before I start going into the story, which is now 12:33 in the morning, I'm still upset that my stream just cut out as I was explaining. So whatever I was explaining before is completely lost now. So great job, Dad. Now you just killed off my streaming and internet and decided to put the router into the same outlet as my stuff down here. So it's like, I don't really know. I have no clue why you did this shit. But hang on. There we go. It was lagging all of a sudden. I was like, that didn't look right. But anyway. So because of the 2 movies, Willy Wonka and the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I was able to do reverse videos of both of them 7 years apart. Well, actually 8 years apart. I did the Wonka one in 2017, but recently in July of 2025, to celebrate Charlie and the Chocolate Factory's 20th anniversary, I actually uploaded some of the clips on July 11th of 2025, which just so happens to be the same day that Satoru Iwata died 10 years prior. Kind of unfortunate if you ask me. But anyway, because my old hard drive didn't actually archive many of the reverse videos of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and because I didn't really think about archiving some of the posts that I did with them in 2020 and 2022, I pretty much had to redo every single reverse video of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory from beginning to end. It was so annoying, and I hope to God Almighty that I don't have to do it again, because I would be livid if I had to do them all over again. Until I realized one of the videos, which is the All Golden Ticket winners in 2005, was the one video that got copyright claimed and blocked worldwide. And not to mention, if I thought that was bad, the day before I was supposed to join the YouTube boycott because of digital ID and age verification, YouTube decided it would be a good idea to pull advanced features out of my account, including my third account, Classic Culture Poster 1080, and just completely remove them without any kind of warning. Without any kind of warning. And to be honest, I'm not very pissed about it because, I've done a lot of copyright claims. May have done this or that. But it really just goes to show just how much YouTube has changed so drastically to where it hates the consumer but loves the businesses. And considering how copyright is very restrictive in the United States, I'm not going to be surprised if this copyright status will continue long into the 23rd century anytime soon. Unless massive ratification occurs sometimes in the 2030s through the 2060s, to which I would say, fuck the copyright system if you ask me. Make it at least 30 years, and 30 years, 3 decades should be plenty enough for copyright work to be done. And if the stuff ends up being abandoned within 10 years, so if the companies don't do anything with the property within 5 to 10 years, it should automatically be public domain before its copyright expiration. However, if they continue to use the franchise long after the 30 years, they are given a maximum of 2 renewals, which should be at least 90 years. So yeah, even though 30 years is a lot of time, I still think 20, 30 years should be good enough, but most people say 10. But the only time I would say 10 years is if they abandon the property. That's the only time they would do it. Trademarks and patents, on the other hand, I think 20 should be fine. But again, the thing is that trademarks and patents should be used as a way to not monopolize the industry and rather to help the industries and consumers. Not radicalize, not anti-competitive, not monopolize or target or to eliminate competition. That's not what those are made for. But anyway, besides that point, for those who don't know, I am one of the few people that actually did the Willy Wonka and Charlie and Chocolate Factory videos in reverse, with the original audio included. But if you've noticed the descriptions in both the Violet Beauregard 1971 and 2005 ones, you pretty much know just how much I love Blueberry Inflation as a whole. Yeah, sure, I love the demises of, the 1971 movie. Personally, 1971 to me is my top favorite of all time because that was the one I grew up with. But 2005 one, I think it took me about 10-15 years to finally get over with, or pretty much it took me a long time to finally get used to it because, it was strange. The tracksuits just didn't fit with Violet. I don't know. It was just a very strange clothing. And in terms of the inventory room for the 2005 one, I still to this very day can't even find the gum machine, even from the first shot that you see the entire room. So it felt like as if it didn't do the 1971 version where it just went from left to right and just took its time showing the entire room. Because the way the 1971 did it, it was brilliant. I loved it. Yeah, sure, it was confusing for me to figure out where the heck the gum machine was in some of the scenes, but the way that it was handled, it was nice and bright, it wasn't too dark, and it actually complemented Violet Beauregard's outfit really well, with the gray and metal outfit. But what I really liked about the 1971 scene is that, it was the perfect shape, had a really good amount of dialogue, and the blue coloring on them for 1971 is quite impressive, considering that the 1971 movie didn't have computer-generated imagery or any kind of computer technology. Every single thing in the 1971 movie was practical effects, which, looking back onto it, it probably looked cheap, but on a $2 to $3 million budget, that's not bad, considering at that time inflation was a lot lower than it is now in 2025, almost 54, 55 years later. But the Blu-ray inflation, even though it was limited, and even though that, not many people really like the shape of it compared to the almighty 2005 closer to the book adaptation of the movie, which, don't get me wrong, I don't really mind the 2005 film, but I used to not really like it very much, simply because it was just too jarring and completely different from how I envisioned the book. And plus, in terms of the book, I feel like as if that I don't think even Roald Dahl would have envisioned the 2005 film as pretty depressing. And considering that Tim Burton was the person that did it, even though that he used to be great in the 80s and early 90s, he somehow kind of dropped off by the time the late 90s, early 2000s came around. So it made sense why a lot of people don't really like Tim Burton's later works, but they love his earlier works. This is what happens when nobody questions his artistic choices and direction and continuously choose him because he can make the most money out of the property. But again, even if you praise him as the most well-respected director in the world, sometimes you just gotta tell people and realize, he has flaws just like everybody else. So, imagine coming to the realization that at one point, Tim Burton basically seduced and probably sexually assaulted a young lady in the late 2000s, early 2010s. Or something like that. It's kind of messed up if you think about it, but whether or not he approves it or denies it, I really don't know. But it really just goes to show just how messed up Tim Burton can be sometimes, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's out of the industry by now. So, who freaking knows? I don't know if it was Tim Burton, Peter Jackson, or somebody else, but whenever I was listening to that story, I'm like, well, it's probably a good thing I wasn't really a Tim Burton fan myself, because I was like, he's made some good movies, he's made some pretty bad ones, but I don't know, he's not really my favorite director. I don't really care about cast members when it comes to movies, as it's more about the main story and the plot of the story and the emotions and the characters, really. The story came later, but I really cared about just the look of it, the appeal of it, the background, and the characters and the story and the emotions. And I didn't really care too much about the story, as more the characters, the reactions, the acting, etc. All that stuff. That's really what I cared about. But going through the Wonka one, the 1971 movie just really had a massive impact on me because the video cassette cover in 1996, I couldn't even tell from the Violet Beauregard blueberry shape if she was made of metal, if she was made of iron, or steel, or aluminum. And it wouldn't be until the 2001 DVD release came around that I realized, oh, it was plastic. So, I don't know, sometimes I'm thinking it's heavier than that, but I guess it was... it wouldn't be until I showed it to my friend Nightmare Cypher to realize, yeah, here's here's this actual image of this VHS cover. I just thought that would look very weird. And he told me, oh yeah, that's just because it was drawn. I was like, that was drawn? I couldn't even tell if it was drawn or not. It looks so realistic. But that's just me. But regardless, the inventing room in the 1971 film, which I did eventually show it, I eventually convinced Mr. Ritorino to watch it in June of this year. Surprise, surprise. Nearly 54 years later. Or 25 years later after I watched it. You could see why that inventor room scene has made a massive impact in how I usually do Blu-ray inflation non-safe for work stories, but I did want to take it a little step further and decide, you know what, would it be very cool if instead of children and the parents with them, what if it was just adults? What if it was just Anthro Pokemon? And because of this, and thanks to Dialga's Bubblegum Blow Up, the Samus inflation I came across in the late 2000s, Barry Manga's work, and eventually Faraday's The Inventor Room, I realized that I should be writing my own stories. Because at that time frame in 2013-2014, there really wasn't a lot of Anthro female or Blu-ray inflation female content anymore, as the transition now was kind of more of male Blu-ray inflation instead. So you could kind of see how, even after 2015, even 10 years later, there's a lot more Anthro male/male Blu-ray inflation content than there is, and especially the 2005 version of it, than the 1971 and Anthro female/female human Blu-ray inflation combined. So I feel like I'm one of the last few that still cares about Anthro female/female human Blu-ray inflation stuff, when 95% of the males would go for male Blu-ray inflation, but that's just because they're not heterosexuals. Some of them are lesbians, some of them are gays, some of them are bisexuals, transgenders, queers, intersex, homosexuals, etc. So even if they have the pronouns, doesn't mean they're actually heterosexual. They just say, "Oh, I don't really mind this, but I prefer to be this," or whatever. At the end of the day, I don't know. I can't be sexually attracted to a man when, as a heterosexual, I'm more sexually attracted to a female. That's just how it is. But regardless, I kind of put the writing on hold in 2011 after, writing VeggieTales stories in 2005, which is why I mentioned that if you want to check out my 20th anniversary of me being introduced to the World Wide Web, feel free to check out the channel and find it on September 20th and 21st, which is the World Wide Web Part 1 and Part 2. But do remember that Part 1 is a bit shorter because of the Kessler Fall Festival DJ gig I had to do. But Part 2 definitely dives into it, though I had to pause the stream to make sure that, I could be able to play the copyrighted claim and source material, so there's that to consider. But regardless, I kind of put the story writing on hold because, after maybe like a few years, maybe 5 or 6 years, and considering that I had no interest in making my cartoon creations anymore, considering that I will introduce them in 2026, you'll just have to wait and see, which should be around the corner in like 2 to 3 months from now. So it shouldn't take people, pretty much 2 months and a few days left until you get to see what I have in store, which I shall introduce them, I believe, around January 4th of 2026. So you'll have to wait and see, either January 2nd or January 4th. You'll just have to wait and see. But regardless, because of the fan fiction stories of Blu-ray inflation, Halo 4's Zekrom weight gain, Migi's Bubblegum blow up, the Dialga inflation artwork that I saw, as well as, Pokemon, Incest one, and my personal favorite, Linote's Latias and Pokemon Latias and Lugia inflations. In 2007, around that time, June 24th, is when I really got heavy into the body inflation / Blueberry inflation on YouTube, which is what I showcased in my 20th anniversary of the World Wide Web. But I didn't really show it on YouTube Part 3 because, I didn't want to introduce it yet until later down the road, which is why I would recommend checking out those two. But YouTube's Part 2, but my YouTube 20th anniversary of Part 2 is unfortunately blocked worldwide, so you can't be able to see it, but Part 1 and Part 3 you should be able to see no matter what. I will eventually upload them to some third-party website, maybe a storage drive like Mega or Internet Archive. We'll have to wait and see. We will have to wait and see. But regardless, combine those with my love of story writing and drawing that probably I've been doing for like 25 years when it was just, simple line sketches of roller coaster designs that I personally liked, to painting with my hands, like my actual bare hands with actual paint. to pretty much writing many stories as early as November 2005, pretty much around this time point 20 years ago, and being able to write VeggieTales stories based on Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and Valentine's Day, but it was actually based on real-life experiences, kind of very similar to my Matthew movie series, that I came up with in 2002 based off of 5 movies from Clockstoppers to Max Cable Big Move, which the final one actually inspired the name Matthew Movie based on that one. So you can see why I wanted to be a filmmaker and a director, producer, and writer, and eventually create my own film studio called MGM Studios around 2008-2007. So around that time point is when I created my 2 cartoon creations, one in 2006 and one in 2011. But again, you'll just have to wait until 2026 when both of those would turn 15 and 20 years old respectively. You'll just have to wait and see. But regardless, it wouldn't be until 2014, after a 3-year hiatus between 2011 and 2012 to late 2014 to 2015, that thanks to literature posted on DeviantArt, it would inspire me, and also thanks to JohnnyGo97 role-playing with me in 2014 in November from Steel Scarlets or Drake Eagle or Drake Hounds, now called Avenines, transformation link that unfortunately has been removed for like the past 7 years. And yet even his Snowball Fight one, which is my personal favorite of all time, completely gone now. So that kind of sucks. I only have the thumbnail. Well, I decided to write my own Blueberry Inflation Not Safe for Work stories, using anthro female Pokemon characters, or Pokemon creatures, but in anthro form, and also the majority of them being anthro-female Blueberry Inflation. Over time, I kind of thought about male Blueberry Inflation, because, you know, I'm a man myself, I'm heterosexual, and I love to be inflated like a blueberry myself. But do keep in mind that this is an 18+ stream. It does have a lot of sexual, a lot of fetish, a lot of adult content that is definitely not appropriate for those under 18. So if you are under 18, I'm sorry to say you'll probably have to leave, or you'll probably have to click off of this because this content's not made for you. But at any point in this live stream, if you feel repulsed or you don't like the stuff that I'm going to show now in the later part of the stream, you are free to leave. Now, do keep in mind, I won't be showing my camera throughout the whole thing, so you'll just see me working. And thankfully, it's just only literature parts. But if I was doing artwork, I would absolutely make sure that it's age restricted. Which, personally, I really don't want to, considering, you know, there are a lot of people that love my Wonka Reverse videos, the 1971 and 2005 one. And for those who are hoping for the, you know, Tom and Jerry's one, I'm working on it. It's just that I did mention last month on September 28th on my Odysee stream, which is actually where my story writing actually started, which was on Odysee. And yes, I will make sure to kind of, and pretty much I linked it in my community post back in September 28th. So if you ever want to check it out, you can, but you don't have to. And I think the last one I ever did was a 9-hour one, which was on October 12th or October 11th, which was Friday night to Saturday night. That was the last time I ever streamed, and probably streamed again at that time point ever since then. But it just goes to show that I actually have it unlisted, but you are free to watch that 9-hour stream if you like to. But do keep in mind that it is 18+, so if you want to see it for yourself, you can, but if not, you are not forced to. But anyway, this inspiration of the role-playing session I did with JohnnyGo97, combined with my love of the 1971 Willy Wonka movie, that I love all demises, except the Veruca one, it was okay. But the Blueberry Inflation scene from 1971 is where all my Blueberry Inflation Not Safe for Work stories are based on, including many other fan fictions ranging from Venti Silver's A Pokemon Blueberry, Chapter 1, to Faraday's work, to Linote and Swaggy, and personally my personal favorite, the author of who reenacted or who remade the entire 1971 version of What If All the Kids Slowed Up, which for a long time was actually one of my favorite Wonka stories of all time, that unfortunately 10 years later it just completely disappeared. I have no idea what happened to it, I have no idea who the author was, but apparently it just disappeared, and I have no idea who made it. Now, if I probably had a bookmark of it like I do nowadays in 2024 onwards, I probably would have saved that stuff by now. But because I didn't think about bookmarking stuff, because again I didn't want browsers to be linked and synced up because of politics and spying and monitoring at that time, I just didn't bother bookmarking stuff in the first place. I just didn't think I needed it because I didn't want to have my entire bookmarks full of just random stuff that I would find online and just cause the browser to take a long time to be able to load them. So there's a little bit of history of that. I know my explanation was sloppy, but you got to remember that because I was so upset that the stream just cut out as I was trying to explain, and then hearing all those beeps, you can imagine why I was a little bit ticked off. So I do apologize that the previous stream just completely cut by then, but that's why I was listening to that beep like way far into the background, and once that happened, it just cut off. So, dear God Almighty, it sucked. But anyway, now that you've heard me ranting about this for the past, 10, 12 minutes, now I'm going to show you where's... Well, this is awkward. Okay, there we... Okay, well, let me go show you it first, so this way you kind of see it. So there you go. So the documents that you're seeing in front of you, these are the ones that I'm currently working on because, I had this idea back in September that I wanted to kind of work on 2 different stories. One of which are 2 stories that are based on my Anthro-Male Sidecar character, which is why I included Pokemon, but also like Power World, Digimon, random creatures, and maybe fusion Pokemon. And down below is the second one, where it's another Anthro-Male Zygar, but this time instead of a factory, it takes place inside of a house. So there's that to consider. So if you wanted to kind of see those type of stories, well, those are the ones I'm working on right now. And in my personal opinion, it's freaking cool to be able to work on these stories. So yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm too small. There we go. So as you can see right here, I mean, the thing is that the documents are usually slow, but that's just because, well, the amount of RAM that it takes up, I mean, even Brave Browser kind of eats up a lot of memory, but that's just me. Oh, sorry about that. I was looking at SD cards, that's why. Alright, let me end task. But you can kind of see why I write these stories a lot. Oh yeah, the document's actually working better. Oh, you know what? When I click away, that's when the story rolls up. Okay, that makes sense. Is there some way that I could do that I could turn off, some sort of acceleration? Alright, let me restart. And it just has to take time to load out of documents. There you go. So the thing is though is that I'm actually not going to open all the documents because I think the common last names one from A to Z definitely takes up a lot of memory. So I will show you a couple of documents that I shall open that I'm currently working on. So these are the 2 that I'm currently working on. And it's basically just 2 stories. It's just Anthro-Male Zygarde here, inviting like maybe over 300 guests to his factory. And what starts off as a factory tour it pretty much turns into a blueberry inflation harem, not safe for work, of course, to eventually becoming, you know, another hangout that some of these people could easily go to. And eventually later on, Saigar would tell them, yeah, you're pretty much feel free to come here as a sanctuary in case something happens to you in real life, and we could always help out no matter what. So it basically just creates connections for a lot of these females, but it takes place in an alternate universe where it's like outside of the event room with Fizzy Lived and Drinks. Like that one is kind of said similar to like our reality in this world. So based on the amount of conversations or news topics at that time from December 14th, 2025 until December 20th, 2025, whatever kind of music that happens at that point, that pretty much stays the same. But the other story that I have Zygarde takes place on February 13th, 2026, which is an actual Friday in February, and usually, you know, just has the stupid dust and stupid hair getting away, and takes place around near Valentine's Day. So Valentine's Day this year is on a Saturday. So Valentine's Day in 2026 is on a Saturday this year. So yeah, you could pretty much see why that would be the case. So a lot of characters. I started writing about this just a few days ago, but I'm still trying to work on the character selection here. I only was able to do about maybe 2 of these of the special guests that I have here, but I've yet to get through them and eventually be able to get through down here, and then I'll finally be able to do this. Now, how do I pick the name cell? Well, basically I have these 2 documents. So I have the female one, but it's only the first names, and then I have... I'm sorry. So basically, I have the boys' names on the left side, so you can see here, and then I have the female names on the right side. So again, these are just all first names, but I have each of the groups done by this letter here. So letter A all the way to letter Z. So you can pretty much see that I have an entire name list of every single baby name in existence. Not all of them, because there are just a couple of names on this list that are missing. So, but it's just a good starting point for, you know, families who are trying to figure out what kind of name they should give to a baby, all that stuff. So it makes it easy for people to be like, hey, I could just go through this list and be able to pick out whatever name I want. And for authors like myself, I could easily just go through here and be able to make up a name and just create a combination. Now, I don't think it really does some, you know, different types of culture names or something like that. I think it's only whatever kind of baby names that I found from a certain website. I think it was called like babynurse.com or something like that. I can't remember because I lost the bookmark a long time ago, but you can imagine I was very lucky that I saved those names, because had I not saved all those names, I probably would have had to find a different website and then spend more time. But that was actually for a different story called this one. The Inventing Rooms with Fizzy Lived and Drinks, which is what I used to make these names. So you can see in this entire list, this is what I have so far for the Inventing Room with Fizzy Lived and Drinks. And yeah, I know that the document kind of stutters a little bit, but you can just imagine that when I do live streams like this, the documents are pretty slow. Because the more pages that this document has, the more characters or words it has, the slower the document scrolls. So you can see it just keeps going and going and going. There are probably, I'm going to have over 10,000 characters by the time I finish the story. But thankfully, the ones from like 500 and beyond, they don't need backstories. I just need to put like clothing and such. And thankfully, I do have the image references, much like I would have for, you know, Destiny Floors, Chocolate Vanilla and Vanilla Chocolate and Strawberry Factory, which I shall show you right in here. Oh, that's the main story. I meant the list. Here it is. Stupid printer connections. So, as you can see, I pretty much have all this. And in this one, I decided to put these in number order, but I don't think it really matters about the outfit, because I think some of the characters are going to have similar or same outfits, so it's not really going to be anything different. But the difference with this story is that it's kind of very similar to the Wonka 1971 and 2005 movies, but instead of them going through the similar demises, like Augustus going through the chocolate pipe, Veruca going down the egg chute, and Mike TV shrinking to the size of an apple, or pretty much an ant, in this case, it's pretty much predetermined. So Kind of like the Wonka series, you know, it's predetermined of who's actually going to win, but it's at the time of the event, it's still going to be a surprise. So I pretty much have extra characters that I'm going to include, but pretty much that I have all this stuff and then I have this. And yeah, don't worry about this text. That was just kind of a complaint that I probably had, but probably whichever video that was on, I guess I really haven't removed it. So, very sorry about that. I probably should remove it at some point in the future, but you get the idea. So, I kind of create these Blueberry Fashion stories as kind of more slice of life ones. And the reason why is because, you know, why bother having it take place in a different world when you could have it on the same planet as we do, which is Earth? So that's why I even mentioned to Mr. Ritorino I was also working on a Blueberry Inflation male Anthro male Haxorus, whom he actually gets to be invited to visit his factory, but instead it turns out to be, you know, an intersexual harem, except that all of the Oompa Loompas are female wolves and hound. What is it called? Hellhounds. So there you go. So it's wolves and hellhounds. But it really depends, because usually I think the main leader of the company is a hellhound, and then there's pretty much other ones. Oh no, all of them are hellhounds. I'm sorry. I thought they were all wolves for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, there's that story. So you could pretty much see just how many stories that I have on my end. And then, in terms of images, I have a ton of those. So, some of the images, if I were to ever get them, usually I basically just download them from the internet. And some of them, like, you know, Dark and Windy's ones that I have here, sometimes if I have extra fake ones that I haven't named yet, usually I just keep them in here. Or sometimes if they're like images that don't really fit in, like, you know, let's say original images, these are usually the ones that I use for, you know, Destiny Flores Vanilla Chocolate and Strawberry Factory. So there's these ones. So there's those. Then I have one of my personal favorite images, which there's not a lot of Blueberry Inflation in these ones. These are just more of females that I really love the artwork so much that I put them in here. And yeah, of course, there's some males ones too. And I did mention before, this is not safe for work streams, so keep that in mind. And considering I'm doing this very late at night, I mean, hopefully I'll be able to do it until 5 in the morning, but it will be a very relaxing stream. So, there's those ones, to name a few. So there's that one. And then pretty much Lucra or Zesku, personal favorites from his channel, which I did actually mention to him that I was thinking about using some of his characters. And I pretty much showed him this list. And he told me there were 2 characters he didn't want me to use, which I think now I kind of forgot which one it was. So I think he's just going to have to remind me to make sure I don't include those 2. But I think it was the Primarita Dragonair one. But because I didn't really like that, 2 of the characters that he has are gay lovers, well, that's not really going to help the situation now, is it? Which is why any kind of image that doesn't fit into the category, I put into extras, which is right here. So pretty much extras is just more of a catch-all, catch-22 of images that I do like, or some that I do want to save, but they're not my top favorites. They're just kind of more honorable mentions. So pretty much they're just leftovers that I didn't really want to include in the favorite images. But the personal favorites one, these images I am actually using for the Anthromeo Zygarde story. But it doesn't have all the images, it only has some of them. So I would probably have to go find the other images if I want to fit them. But pretty much all the fusion ones that I picked for the series, most of them should be in here. Not all of them, just most. So yeah, these are pretty much the images that I have working on for the stories. So there's that. And then last but not least, the one that I truly love is the documents. So I'm going to open this up here and show you all of the Blueberry Inflation documents that I've made for the past 7, 8, 9 years. This was actually imported from a different drive into here, and I'm actually very glad I actually took it from my one of my older drives from 2017, because had I not done that, had I not imported it from my MacBook Pro over to my PC or to another hard drive, these documents, for all I care, could simply stop existing and go from there. So, and then sometimes you just have random documents like this one. Let me see. Let's see. It was, there was another document I had in here that was just completely random, that had nothing to do with it. You just have untitled here, and then I just have like microphone parts. I have no idea why I have these in here, but apparently I do. So I have no clue why. I ended up saving in here. These should actually go back in documents. There we go. And then this one right here. For those who don't know, I've been thinking for a long time about doing my own drawing attempts for the 1971 the 1971 Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but it's the inventive room. But the audio of the video that I've already made from back in 2024, 2023, it's pretty much just all the frames from that video that I've edited, that's 1080p, and put into this one. Though the images that I made is pretty much just an upscaled 1080p version, but done in 4K resolution, which is why the 4K frames of every single one of them, which I think there's like 18,690 frames. What was it? 18,950 frames. 18,790 frames that I exported all together from the very end of the movie all the way up to the beginning of the movie. So you can imagine when I put them backwards into Krita, eventually, apparently, whichever is the first one that I last highlighted is the one that's going to go first, and then pretty much all the other ones in alphabetical order. Krita is just very weird with that one, but by the time that I imported all those frames into my Krita project, I think it's like from, the one that, the ones that are from, hang on. There we go. The ones that are from, the end of the scene of the inventory room all the way up until pretty much Wonka is just about to let them into the room. But you'll kind of see what I mean. It's basically just there just to, oh, am I too loud? Oops, sorry. It's basically just there just to show people my own anthro version of it because, I kind of want to redraw some of the same scenes from that film again. But this time, pretty much replacing the Violet Beauregard character with an adult one, and then have the other ones also be adults as well, because why not? I think it would be quite interesting to see how that works. And yes, the parents would also be adults too, but the children would also be adults too. It's just that I think the character voices might feel the same, so it would be weird to see an adult literally speaking like a child. But again, because if I do pitch down Violet's voice to like -3, -4, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. So it just usually depends. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We will have to wait and see. But that is pretty much what I have. And I also have shown you pretty much everything you need to know about my Blueberry Inflation stories, a little bit about myself, and also what I'm going to be doing for the next few hours. So it is currently 1:10 in the morning. Pretty much what I'm going to do is that I'm actually going to not show the camera on screen, and you're just going to enjoy pretty much seeing me working on these stories for the next few hours or so until it's time for me to just, go to sleep. And then just end the stream, tell everyone thank you so much for showing up despite the hiccup that I had between 12 a.m. in the morning and 12:30 in the morning, and go from there. And in the meantime, I will actually put up some music, but it's probably going to be a relaxing one because, well, why not? Because who wouldn't want relaxing music? So I will kind of do that. I just gotta find the ones that I could easily use. Here we go, tag editor. That's what it was. So, I just gotta find the one that I could easily use and go from there. So, in the meantime, I'll probably have some Originally I was going to do the Halloween one, but again, because I was so tired, and definitely a lot of descriptions in terms of 18 plus, ranging from blueberry inflation, not safe for work, to harems, to pretty much just usual stuff. And there may be some things that may be inappropriate for those under 18, so if you don't like the content, or if you feel offended or repulsed by the content that I have here, you are free to leave. But if you like, you could always subscribe or not, it's up to you. Same thing with liking or disliking, and feel free to comment down below once the live stream is over. And just make sure to check out the community post sometimes. And yes, people, I'm still working on the Saw 2 one. It's just that once I get the recording going for Saw 1 and Saw 2, basically what I would do is that around after maybe like 9:30, I'm going to just start recording my Saw 1 and Saw 2. And then once I get all that done, which will probably take about 4 hours, and then I got to go edit all that stuff. From there, that's when I'm going to be able to put it all together with the introduction video that I got to edit and go from there. I'm probably just going to like not edit it the whole thing, because I think in my opinion it would just be nice to do so. So you can imagine I'm so tired from doing that introduction video of the Saw 2 DVD set. So please enjoy your time here. If you like to play video games, if you need to work on something, or if you just want to put this on as background filler, or if you just like to see me writing stories while, you want to fall asleep to the music, you want to fall asleep to the sounds, feel free to. It's up to you. So if you want to leave at any point, you can. If you want to stick around until the very end, you can. All right. In the meantime, we're starting to lay low. And from there, I'm going to take this microphone off of the stand, and we're going to go into being a little more quiet. I'm going to slowly turn this light off. All right. Now it's dark mode. And I'm going to transition into the light. So, let me make sure that I get this. There we go. So now we're fading in to the documents. And now for the background, let me make sure that I fix this actually. There we go. Let me get out of studio mode for once. So this way it's lined up. There we go. And now I'm going to introduce an image, but it's basically going to be black. So this way you only see in the background is black. So the documents are still going to be there, but soft music, relaxing music is all going to be there. So hopefully you enjoy it as much as I do. And now it's time to relax to some music and Halloween sound effects and campfire as well. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I do, and please enjoy this relaxing stream from SuperFlashDriver to you. Enjoy. Oh, I will turn on the microphone. Again, this is an 18 plus stream, so be aware of that. Even though I made this public, even though I have not age restricted this video, just remember you are free to comment at any point during the video and have fun. Alright, so I will play some music in the background. I will shut off this microphone, and then I will remind you guys again in about maybe an hour and a half or 2 or 3 hours. And then by the time 5 or 4:30 a.m. in the morning comes around, that's when I will end the stream. So I should be able to stay awake until 4 or 5 in the morning. So let's see how this goes. Alright. Now I shall put some music in the background. Increase the volume and go from there. So, now, for those who are going to sleep, you're starting to fall asleep. Grab something warm to drink, lie down, and get yourself cozy. For those who are going to be working on stuff in the background, please enjoy the music, enjoy what I'm going to be typing in front of here, and as always, I will make sure to show up again within 4 or 5 hours from now, which 4 hours, 5 hours should be 5 a.m., 6 a.m. in the morning, but I'll probably do it before 5 a.m. in the morning and go from there. From there, please enjoy the atmosphere, and I will catch you later. Enjoy the live stream, enjoy me working on the projects, and now I shall turn to the fire crackling. Let's get into it. Alright, I'm SuperFlashDriver here, and enjoy the stream. Also known as Matthew John, by the way. So let's get started.